control the risk of AI and other emerging technologies. We have proposed a global initiative on AI governance, which strengthens the international cooperation in areas of standards, technology, talents, and industry. And we have also implemented the Global Development Initiative, Global Security Initiative, and the Global Civilization Initiative, so that the technologies can benefit the people and build a community with a shared life, shared future. We'd like to thank ITU play a very important role in developing the standard which has empowered the development of the global industry. Thank you.
Your thoughts on the intersection of AI, metaverse, traditional industries, digital factories in China provide us with much to think about. Now we move on to Governor Al-Tamimi. Please share how Saudi Arabia is approaching these transformations.
Thank you, Chair. Allow me to speak in Arabic. شكرا لإتاحة الكلمة لي وصباح الخير أصحاب المعالي والسعادة. بداية.
Thank you very much. I would like to first and foremost thank the government of India for their extremely warm welcome. I would also like to express my respect and gratitude to the ITU for the excellent management of this meeting. The delegation of Saudi Arabia participating at the WTSA 24 are very pleased to be part of it. We are going to set out several projects that we are working on, projects related to the development of the metaverse, AI, and in particular in areas of agriculture, healthcare, education, and so on. It also plays an important role, the development of this technology, in developing smart cities and promoting productivity. We seek to create new promising opportunities. However, at the same time, we are facing several challenges, for example, capacity building, specifically for professionals in these diverse sectors. We need to take into consideration data protection. There are also ethical stakes. Similarly, we need to ensure robust digital infrastructure exists in our country to promote these emerging technologies. And of course, it would be impossible to solve these solutions if we did not have access to international cooperation. In Saudi Arabia, we want to double down on our commitments to develop networks, and we have developed our ethical considerations in line with AI. We worked a lot with ITU on this. We developed a joint study to seek solutions for eliminating this digital divide that continues to exist. Emerging technologies is at the forefront of this. We're continuing to collaborate with the ITU to promote these. We are also working on a conference on ground cables. This is going to take place in November. It is very important that we double down on our efforts, and we need to continue this collaborative approach if we want to really profit from all of these technologies. We need to consider the challenges that we're facing and then move forward.
Thank you, Governor Al-Tamimi. It's clear that Saudi Arabia is at the forefront of these emerging technologies, especially in navigating their risk, applying this to traditional sectors like agriculture. Thank you so much. I would now like to invite Mr. Barrero to take the floor.
Good morning, Your Excellent colleagues. I will answer this question from the point of view of real estate and, more importantly, from the vision of cities, specifically urban development in cities. Artificial intelligence, the metaverse, and the new technologies are really changing the way that we're doing business today. We today can gather market data in seconds. We can build projects and show the projects before we do any construction, making them very sustainable. But more importantly, we can develop cities and see how these cities will look 5, 10, 15, or 30 years from now, and try to understand what would happen with the public transportation, how congested our roads will be. And more importantly, we can foresee how much power and data we will need in these cities, and how can we use all this information to make everything, to reduce inequalities and to try to make a better cities, not only new ones, but also cities that we have and we can refurbish. However, of course, there are some risks involved that we always need to keep in mind, like cybersecurity. We need to make sure that we are very sensitive to all the information that goes through the network. And finally, and more importantly, I think we need to make sure that we do not overuse these technologies and lose sight that everything is supposed to be used for the benefit of the general population. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Barrero. Your industry perspective on how the metaverse and AI are transforming cities and use of data, that adds fascinating dimension to our discussion. Thank you so much. Now I would like to invite Ms. Shoman to give your perspective on this.
Thank you. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, at British Telecom, we have for many years had a strong focus on both opportunities and risks from AI. But equally important is our focus on quantum technologies, which are evolving at an incredible speed. It is believed that quantum computers will be able to solve computational tasks in minutes or hours that would take classical computers days, weeks, or even years to complete. This could be transformational in industries such as healthcare, whereby quantum computing and simulation could potentially offer the tools to make massive breakthroughs in the development of new drugs. Advances in quantum computing promises transformational change for industries, but will disrupt security as we know it today. Because quantum computing has the potential to be able to crack the mathematics that underpins much of the current cryptography that is used to secure networks today. But it's not just a problem for future. Securing encrypted traffic is a pressing problem already today, because data that requires long-term security could be at risk of what is called store today, crack later attacks. This is why the development of quantum secure communications is critical, and why we last year built the world's first commercial trial for quantum secure metro network in London, with the objective to making quantum secure communications more accessible to businesses, but also offer an environment that invites the wider ecosystem to collaborate on exploring the opportunities and risks from quantum technologies. However, our research goes beyond cryptography, and we are already now considering how our networks need to evolve to connect quantum computers and devices, and in what we would call the quantum internet. And as with any new technology, standards and assurance are going to be key for scale of quantum technologies, but for assurance and trust. We are working closely with ETSI on European standards for quantum and remain committed to widening our efforts in standards, but also to collaborate with the wider quantum ecosystem to ensure evolution of quantum for good. Thank you.
Ms. Soman, thank you for your insights on how digital infrastructure is crucial for these transformations. You talked about quantum tech and its importance. It's clear that network strategies and the quantum innovation both will play a very important pivotal role going forward. Now, I invite Mr. Akuden to share the perspective of Ericsson on this. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So all industries will no doubt change as a result of artificial intelligence and augmented reality over the coming decade. But it's worth noting that this will not happen without the digital infrastructure. And digital is evolving fast. Today's digital infrastructure is nationwide 5G, as we see here in India, fiber and resilient clouds. Tomorrow, digital needs to support the cyber-physical continuum, which is bridging the physical and digital everywhere, not just in indoor environments. And it will be the evolution to 6G for terrestrial and satellite communication. Industries such as mining, manufacturing, transportation, healthcare, and financial services, they are moving to resilient cloud and 5G. And the benefits, lower total cost of ownership, higher performance and security, and therefore higher productivity. So AI and AR need to follow a similar path with clear guardrails for ethical data management, transparency, and trustworthiness. So regulating the technology itself is, however, not the way forward. Instead, we need to promote innovation on top of the networks to capture the full benefits for society. And some of the benefits of AI and AR within the digital infrastructure itself. I'll just mention one example. Sustainability and energy efficiency is key when we're designing mobile networks today. In fact, despite traffic growth of around 20, in some cases up to 40% yearly, the networks don't need to consume more energy. So yearly reductions of energy in 5G towards a net zero by 2040, that would not be possible without AI already today in radio networks and in core networks. This is combining hardware, software, and AI, and creating an autonomous network that will also lower the CO2 footprint. And the same is now happening in all these so-called traditional industries by leveraging 5G, resilient clouds, AI, and AR. The risks are there, but it's very clear that if we follow the same principles as we've done in digital so far with openness and standardization, we have a way to handle also the risks of AI. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Akudin. Your points about need for digital infrastructure, sustainability, use of AI and 5G to transform industries. Thank you for highlighting these critical issues. With this, we come to the end of this segment. Thank you all the speakers for sharing your insights. It's clear that while AI, the metaverse, and the emerging technologies hold immense potential for future, managing the associated risk with these technologies will also be very crucial for their successful integration into traditional industries and also provide next digital factories. Thank you so much. Allow me to now give the floor to Doreen Back for the next segment.
Yes, thank you. And this question is sort of a perfect follow-on to the previous. So we're going to dive into how we can balance the need for innovation in AI with ethical considerations and the potential risks associated with its misuse. So I have three interveners. We're going to hear from His Excellency, the Minister of Infrastructure, Communication and Transport from Tanzania. We have His Excellency, Mr. Khalid Salom Mohammed. Welcome, sir. We also have Madame Sandra Maximiano, who is the chairwoman of the regulator in Portugal, ANACOM. And finally, we have the CEO of Tejas, India. We have Anand Athreya. So with that, I'm going to turn first to His Excellency, the Minister. Please, sir, over to you, Minister Mohammed.
Thank you very much, Madam Moderator. Balancing innovation in artificial intelligence with ethical consideration and mitigating risk require multifaceted approach. First, we need to establish clear ethical guidelines and regulations that can ensure responsible development, focusing on transparency, accountability, and fairness. Secondly, we need to foster collaboration between government, industry, and academia that can help create a standard that promote innovation while safeguarding against misuse. And thirdly, we need to foster a culture of ethical artificial intelligence development through training and awareness initiative that can empower developers to prioritize safety and societal impact. We also need to continuously monitor and make adaptive policies that can help address emerging risks and ensure the benefits of artificial intelligence are widely and equitably shared. Above all, partners need to join efforts to overcome this challenge. And I believe together we can move to the next digital wave. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Excellency. With that, I turn to you, Sandra, Chairwoman of ANACOM. Over to you, please.
Thanks a lot. I will follow on the same approach and advice. First, clear ethical frameworks must be established defining protection of human rights, promotion of societal well-being, privacy, fairness, transparency, and accountability as core principles of AI systems and algorithms. Those ethical principles should be considered while designing, developing, and deploying AI-based solutions. Second, it's essential to have a strong regulatory oversight. For example, regarding issues such as privacy violations, discrimination, bias, manipulation, surveillance, or misinformation. Open auditing process can help identify and rectify misuse practices or breaches of ethical principles early in development. Third, the importance of AI education and public awareness cannot be overstated. Equipping people with a basic understanding of how AI works empowers them to critically engage with its applications and advocate for responsible usage. Fourth, a collaborative approach is vital. Stakeholders from tech, government, academia, and civil society must work together to anticipate risks and establish goal norms for responsible AI development and deployment. Finally, it's important to design and implement risk assessment procedures and risk mitigation tools to address potential risks after AI deployment. Risk assessment is a vital instrument to balance the need for innovation in AI with ethical considerations and the potential risks associated with its misuse. In fact, if you look at the AI Act of the European Union, you can find 4 levels of risk: unacceptable, high risk, limited risk, and minimal risk. Setting different levels of risk helps us to make sure that we are setting adequate remedies to each level of risk. In our view, treating differently what is different is a good way to make sure that we are not over-regulating or creating undesirable obstacles to innovation. Thanks.
Thank you so much. So we'll turn now to Tejas. Mr. Athraya, over to you, please.
Dr. Upadhyay and my esteemed colleagues. I think my previous speakers talked about the ethical guidelines. Isn't it ironical that while innovation solves multiple problems, it also creates new ones? And this goes into a complete feedback control system where it also drives more solutions. I would just like to talk about a few things. I think regulation is important. I call this freedom with a leash. It's important to give freedom to innovate. At the same time, it cannot be a runaway threat. Also, in particular, with respect to AI, it is the data that you use to train. There have been a lot of instances where, because of the nature of data, it actually came to the wrong conclusion. So it's extremely important to be able to provide data on a global level across different countries, races, color, and from various sources. I know it's a question of privacy, but it's extremely important for us to be able to provide this data. And education of the masses. Whenever there's an inflection point, like what happened with the internet, there were a lot of bad actors. There still are, but I think it's come down a lot. For example, music sharing, document sharing, book sharing, and things like that. I think what is important is regulation needs to be enforced at those points. And it's even more important where we educate the masses. A lot of us here are very technology savvy. We understand a lot of things, how it works. But most of the folks outside of this room are common users. It's extremely important to simplify and explain the technology so that a common person can understand how they're going to use it in order to avoid mistakes or misuse. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And that brings us to the end of the speaker list for that question. I want to thank those that intervened for those important points on how to balance the need for innovation with those ethical considerations in mind and managing those potential risks. We heard a lot about transparency, accountability, fairness, partnership, togetherness, collaboration, and of course, the need for regulatory oversight. And of course, the last speaker also raised an interesting point about solving problems while we're also creating problems, which is one of those challenges we face today. So with that, we're going to turn to the next question, and I hand back to our co-moderator.
Yeah, thank you, Doreen. We heard that while AI is transforming industries, we need to ensure that it is used very responsibly. Therefore, the question arises, what can be done internationally for AI governance? So the next question is, what role do you see for international cooperation in establishing AI governance standards that promote transparency, fairness, and accountability? This question is for His Excellency, Ms. Raffaella Petrini, Secretary General, Governorate of Vatican City State, Jacek Oko, President, Office of Electronic Communication, Poland, Xavier Juarez Mozica, President, Federal Telecommunication Institute, Mexico, A. Robert J. Ravi, Chairman and Managing Director, BSNL and MTNL. We'll start with Secretary General Petrini. Ma'am, over to you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. My delegation is very pleased to take part in the ITU Global Standard Symposium and thanks the Board of ITU for having convened this meeting on such a relevant topic. Technological progress with its impressive achievements is closely linked to human development. Technology enables us to reduce risks, to improve our work and our conditions of life. However, integral human development calls forth an ethically responsible use of technology. If this is true for relatively simple technology, it is even more necessary in relation to the use of artificial intelligence, which in the words of Pope Francis, represents a true cognitive industrial revolution. Although a powerful outcome of technological progress, AI remains a tool at the service of the human being. The criteria chosen to train AI models and the data used to feed those models to perfect the results are crucial factors to determine if fundamental human rights are respected, if systems are reliable and long-lasting, if technology is indeed sustainable. The role of international cooperation based on honest dialogue is essential to establish shared policies that can guide the development of these models according to safety standards and ethical principles. In our globalized society, cooperation can be a challenging task, but necessary to produce shared reflections and political solutions aimed at seeking what is good and just. We need a cross-disciplinary dialogue aimed at an ethical development of algorithms and algorethics in which values will shape the directions taken by new technologies. Technology, with its tremendous impact on human society, is born for one purpose. It is an instrument for building up the good of every human being and a better tomorrow for all. Therefore, it must have an ethical inspiration that international cooperation must seek and protect for present and future generations. This ethical inspiration today exemplifies a concrete form of solidarity that allows governments to set priorities and organizations to take responsibilities for all their stakeholders. International cooperation is the fruit of what Pope Francis defines as healthy politics, which by involving different sectors and skills can oversee technological development and create the conditions to make the good use of technology, including AI, possible and fruitful. Thank you.
Thank you, Secretary Petrini, for highlighting the Vatican's unique perspective on ethical governance of AI, human development, and safety standards. Now I would like to give the floor to Mr. Oko. Over to you.
Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen. Artificial intelligence is a global technology, so creating effective standards requires knowledge and experience from different countries. It is a technology for everyone, not just a select few. The key challenge is to avoid fragmentation, which could increase inequalities, both for consumers and for those developing AI-based solutions. We need to start the work now, starting with standardizing the vocabulary we use. The same word needs to be understood in exactly the same way in every country and in every language. Otherwise, we have to be very careful because we will build a new Tower of Babel. Then we need together to arrange these words into sentences into regulations. The regulations, in turn, must allow for flexibility so that, if necessary, we can react as need and either loosen or tighten them smoothly. One of the major internet companies used to have the motto, "Don't do evil." Now it hasn't. By example, last year, regulations on requirements for drivers in passenger transport solution were tightened in Poland. One of the representatives of carrier companies said publicly that it was a good solution, but the level of competition did not allow it to be introduced in the form of self-regulation. Effectively was only the national regulation. Ladies and gentlemen, we cannot rely on the self-regulation by industry. So we must take up the challenge of regulating these solutions, which will have a significant impact on the development of the economy and our daily lives. The regulation of AI in many respects requires deep international cooperation, which we must start as soon as possible. From regulatory point of view, today we need strong standardization leader oriented on both technical and ethical AI aspects. I think in this leader of this progress could be ITU. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Oko, for Poland's view on promoting fairness and transparency in AI standards and your perspective on technology for everyone and an apt regulation for regulating the AI. We move on now to Mr. Mojika. The floor is yours.
Gracias. Thank you very much, and good morning, everyone. First and foremost, of course, I would like to thank the Government of India for hosting us at this event. I'd like to thank the ITU for their invitation to speak here, to share some thoughts and observations, and to talk about the importance of international collaboration. It is the era of artificial intelligence, and we live in a hyper-connected world. When we talk about artificial intelligence, we're talking about a technology very broadly, and it knows no borders. The impact of AI systems is going to be global. Regardless of where it's developed, its impact will be global. For example, ChatGPT, right? It's being used across the world. It's also important to highlight the fact that the global impact of artificial intelligence does not mean that every country cannot participate what it can. Countries can be consumers and importers of algorithms, but at the same time they can also contribute to its development. So first and foremost, our countries need robust digital infrastructure with accessible radio spectrums. What's more, we need fiber optic, we need 5G connectivity, we need data centers, supercomputers. In addition to all of this, countries need to strengthen decision-making processes and governance. These are important decisions made in the international sphere, and I think we also need to recognize the relevance of the ITU. It's a driver behind AI for good. You know, there's no need to reinvent the wheel. Rather, experience exists. There are organizations that exist, and we should profit from this.
Mr. Mojika, your thoughts on international collaboration on AI governance are very timely. Now we move on to Mr. Ravi. We'd like to hear your perspective on this.
Thank you, RK, Honorable Minister, Excellencies. It's a very, very important topic and dialogue. Today, AI, if you see AI itself, it's actually in a geographical of uneven development and unevenness in spatial and the sectoral world. It is very evident, but what we can see in different locations and different economic sectors. And standardizing of the governance of AI is very, very important. This could be in two ways. One, it could be through the development of what we call as AI ex ante. So it could be again a two-step process where first the government could set its expectations, what it wants, and allow the participants to roll its play. And the other will be the public regulators should participate and interact with these vibrant, relevant industries. Because we know that once the AI is depending completely on data. If this data itself is flawed, biased, then we lead to a condition what we call contamination of data. It's very, very serious. That will be very serious to the outcome of this AI. So any AI without proper safeguards can pose risk to the development of the ecosystem. So the very important need of the hour will be to develop what we call a framework that will completely set up a very vibrant AI ecosystem that will be transparent, fair, accountable, something like what we call a common AI stack. In India, we already started developing one such common stack. This framework will actually create what we call an enabling environment to exploit the AI for productivity in various walks of life. This AI stack will have to be structured across all sectors, ensuring all protection of data. It could be data federation, data minimization, open algorithm frameworks, defined data structures, interfaces, protocols, monitoring, auditing, logging, data privacy, ethical standards, digital rights, and trustworthiness. This stack with a lot of mix of this data could really play a very vital role. So hence it is imperative that all countries develop what we call this stack, a standard model which can protect customers, users, business establishment, and the government. India will like to take the lead, and we are already having this stack which could be easily expanded. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ravi, for sharing insights on various facets of AI governance and building an AI stack. Thank you to our final group of speakers for sharing your insights on the importance of international cooperation in AI governance. Establishing global standards is, of course, very important to ensure that AI technologies are used in a way that is fair, transparent, accountable, and ethical. We move on to the next segment. Doreen, floor is yours.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I want to come back to the Mentimeter and to thank our friends and colleagues in Room B for contributing. So we'll go to the first question and maybe don't show it yet on the screen. So the first question was, which emerging technology would have the most transformative impact on your country or industry in the next 5 years? Anybody want to guess which one topped the list? Anybody?
AI.
There you go. Okay, now we can show it. So AI was 36%. Then we had the metaverse. No, wait a minute. Then we had Internet of Things at 18%, quantum computing at 12%, metaverse virtual worlds at 11%, followed by blockchain and biotech. So AI, you have to look at the color and then look at the percentage. So it's AI first, IoT, and then quantum. Thank you. Okay. And so I think that obviously AI popped up a lot in our discussion. And so now to share from the second question, which was, what is the most crucial role for governments in fostering innovation ecosystems? And here it's quite interesting because we had two ties, let's say. And so tied for first place was providing funding and investment, as well as developing supportive regulations. So they both scored, you can put the results up, please. They both scored at 21%. And then tied for second place was facilitating public-private partnerships. We heard a lot about that as well today. Enhancing digital infrastructure, perhaps I'd put resilience under that. So those two tied at 19%. And then I would say a close third was supporting talent development at 18%. And again, I think a lot of these points came up throughout the course of our discussions, and a big thanks to those colleagues in Room B for contributing. So with that, I hand back to my co-moderator.
Thank you, Doreen. Now, as we approach the end of this session, we would like to ask our speakers, leaders, for a quick piece of advice, since we have overshot our time. So the time given for this quick piece of advice is just 30 seconds. So the question is, what advice would you give to other leaders on how to navigate the complexities of driving innovation in an uncertain and rapidly changing global environment. With you, sir.
Thank you, Doreen and Upadhyay. I think most importantly, one has to look at three fundamental factors, considering the amount of challenges that new technology brings in. I think the first is to embrace cross-sector collaboration. Example of that is the Bharat 6G Alliance that we talked about across academia, industry, government, corporations, and startups, and international bodies. Second is prioritize agility and responsiveness. I think it's important to be agile, fostering a culture of continuous learning within an organization, encouraging experimentation and promoting flexibility. And the third is, as my Japanese friend and associate mentioned, focus on sustainability and inclusivity. I think green practices, new technology, green technology, reducing carbon footprints is extremely important. Thank you.
We move on to next. Excellencies from Gabon.
Merci beaucoup. Je pense, compte tenu du temps qui nous...
Thank you. I think we need to continue to think globally, and particularly in terms of international cooperation, and implement a good institutional, regulatory and legal framework without forgetting about the development of partnerships, particularly public-private partnerships, and above all, develop infrastructure. Because if we don't have international connection or national connections, then in no way we will be able to reduce this digital divide or further develop digital aspects in our country. And every technology has to serve humanity. It is a socio-economic development tool. Thank you.
Thank you. In our opinion, leaders must create an environment where flexibility is seen not only as a necessity, but as an important asset that allows organizations and teams to respond more quickly to new challenges. At the same time, it is necessary to foster strong collaborative relationship between startups, corporations, governments, and other stakeholders, because innovation thrives at the intersection of diverse perspectives. Finally, it is important to understand when to lead boldly and when to listen and accept new ideas, even talk those seem mutually inclusive at times. Thank you.
Brazil.
We are very proud of our efforts here, and also all the efforts from Anatel to ensure that development lies on our collective strength and mutual respect. The true challenge for all regulators is how to address innovation, digital inclusion, and sovereignty. Get safe distance from short-term fixes and old ideas to resolve new problems. Disrupt some traditional thoughts and interests, and tackle digital inequalities and search for their economic drivers. Adopt asymmetric measures and find out our own new ecosystems and innovation process. We have to be aware that words won't come far enough, but our attitudes and our digital environment can do a lot of change. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I think we need to believe that more talent development, capacity building, and defining real border lines between regulations, privacy, and cybersecurity and innovation is the real main advice for real digital transformation and transformative impact for society. Thank you.
Dominican Republic.
Nosotros creemos. We very much believe in active participation of different stakeholders throughout the innovative digital ecosystem. We need to build together national strategies to promote innovation. and we need to have measurable objectives for our policies. In this way, we'll be able to make the necessary adjustments and create the right environment to drive change. Joint forces are the way to producing change and developing what we need to achieve satisfactory results. International cooperation is, of course, also essential. This needs to be taken into account when we're developing national plans for innovation. States are making important efforts to develop technologies, but all of society needs to be involved in this. We need our efforts to be able to translate into bigger opportunities for socio-economic development across our cities.
Thank you. It's international cooperation is essentially important. That it's including, of course, the making the standard and also developing the roadmap, and also first of all, most important why there are communications among the trusted people like today. That's all. Thank you.
South Africa.
Thanks very much. I think it's important for us as leaders in this space to embrace constant learning and adaptation, because the environment we're in is constantly changing, and we should be encouraging experimentation, whether that is in the form of regulatory sandbags, and be prepared to evolve based on the feedback and the emergence of new information, so that when we do develop policies, they are cognizant of this evolution that we're in. And I think it's also important to maintain the flexibility to stay adaptive and responsive to the challenges that we face as leaders in this space. Thank you very much.
Burundi. Merci beaucoup.
Thank you very much. As has already been said, collaboration is key. Working together with all stakeholders and including everyone is the way forward. We also need to develop infrastructure and implement the right infrastructure for all.
Okay.
Thank you. My first advice would be to remain agile and focused on the future. Collaboration is crucial to create flexible regulatory framework that supports advancements in emerging technologies. It's equally essential to balance innovation with public interest. Secondly, leaders should invest in skills development to ensure that the complexities of the new technologies could be successfully handled. Establishing strong mechanisms to manage risks and challenges is much needed at our times. Thank you.
Global sports.
Thank you. Two things. Given the pace of change and the colossal innovation, we need to inspire environments of agility, adaptability, and continuous learning. And the second one is, given our era is one of continuous uplifting, but also exhausting innovation, this requires leaders to manage the focus, the framework, and the cadence.
Azerbaijan.
Thank you. From my experience in regulatory frameworks, I have seen that embracing calculated risks and foster a culture of experimentation leads to breakthrough. Agile, decentralized decision-making empowers innovation. Special event teams can act swiftly and think creatively. Effective regulations don't constrain, they create environments that empower innovation while benefiting society. With regulatory foresight and adaptability, we can drive transformative change, ensuring both public and private sectors succeed in the face of uncertainty. Thank you.
FCC.
Thank you. Great leaders know what they do not know. In an age of rapid technological advances, it is vital that we recognize the limits of our knowledge and seek out those who can help fill these gaps. I've seen firsthand that when we listen to key stakeholders who are experts in their fields and encourage collaboration between them, we are better equipped to capitalize on new opportunities and navigate complex challenges. Thank you.
Uzbekistan. Oh, I'm sorry.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I encourage others not to fear experimenting with and adopting innovations. Challenges that may arise in this process can be addressed through the sharing of experience and fostering collaboration in implementing innovation. By aligning each innovation with the interests of society and individuals, we can enhance prosperity and ensure sustainable development. Thank you.
My apologies, Ghana.
Thank you. 3 words: adaptability, collaboration, and inclusivity, vital in this era of rapid technological advances. We need to foster a culture of continuous learning and flexibility within organizations, leverage public-private partnerships to pool resources and expertise, ensuring a diverse range of perspectives are included in the innovation process. Prioritize and invest in digital infrastructure and skills development to ensure everyone has the opportunity to contribute to and benefit from technological advancements. Thank you.
My apologies again, Linux Foundation.
There's a new constituent I think I would encourage you all to work with. Open source developers are building this breakthrough technology. Half of the code in the PyTorch project, which is a fundamental AI building block, is written by 50 individuals. Linux, which runs the majority of the world's computers, is maintained by 120 people, largely. I would encourage you to work with them, help them understand regulation, help them understand cybersecurity risk. Thank you.
Skylo Technologies.
Be decisive. Bias towards action. We spun out of a lab in Stanford University, not fully knowing whether what we had built would actually work. By being decisive in a capital-intensive environment, pivoting when necessary, and constantly iterating, we were able to successfully deliver groundbreaking technology that is now included within some of the latest smartphones and IoT devices. Second, be predictable. Partner well with others and do what you said you were going to do. By building an ecosystem and executing predictably, we were able to bring new solutions to market at a velocity and scale that I couldn't have ever imagined. Be decisive within your organization and be predictable to others.
Dynamics.
Yes, my advice on innovation is basically that we must move fast and keep trying. We should not get stuck because that's innovation. It's experimenting, it's testing, it's failing sometimes, but moving on fast on the next idea and keep going, solving problems. Thank you.
China.
Good morning. Innovation is a major driving force. Innovation has become a hotline for human progress, and my suggestion is that we should advocate openness, open cooperation, enhance the standards development, and build a community with a shared future for mankind, and actively implement the concept of innovation, green development, innovation, development, shared development. We should advocate an open innovation, open cooperation, and open win-win result, enhance R&D of technology, standards of standard development, the cultivation of the talents, and we should address the development challenges in the process of open innovation and development so that we can work together to create the better future. Thank you.
The private sector need stability. So my advice to telecom regulator or the government to move from the notion of innovate then regulate to innovative regulation using the AI and RegTech technology. Thank you.
Western Group.
Yes, 2 points. Just any development of new technologies should keep always sustainability on mind. And also remember that technology today and in the future needs to be used to improve the quality of life of a human being. And finally, I think we need to look beyond our relationships with our city or people from our country, but use all these technologies to work with people from around the globe. Thank you.
BT.
Well, at center of all business model innovation lies technology evolution, which is happening extremely fast. Therefore, for any nation as well as organization to remain relevant, upskill and reskill strategies are absolutely crucial. In addition, of course, to collaboration and inclusion. Thank you.
Ericsson.
Thank you. Well, I'd say explore open innovation and take inspiration from all across the world.
I was impressed by what's happening in Brazil, where banks works together with operators with open network APIs to reduce fraud. That's just one example, and it happens everywhere. And the other point is to embrace the latest technologies that has scale on your digitalization journey and update the digitalization plans.
Thank you. Next, we're going to turn to Tanzania.
Yeah. In my opinion, we need to continue putting in place the necessary infrastructure, focus on skills development, and creating and managing innovation. But we also need to focus on research and development and working together to address challenges related to institutional capacity, cybersecurity, inclusivity, and technological gaps that exist between developed and developing countries. But also we need to address the issue of accessibility and affordability of digital services. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Moving right along, we go to Portugal, please.
Thank you. So in my opinion, we should formulate strategies that are agile and adaptable in response to market shifts while keeping long-term goals in sight. Consider behavioral insights to better understand the impact of emerging technologies, promote experimentation and make data-driven decisions. Empower teams to take calculated risks, adapt quickly, and learn from failure. Foster a culture of continuous learning, especially concerning emerging technologies. Be resilient and persistent. Leaders cannot give up when facing the first obstacles. Promote collaboration with relevant stakeholders and partners to develop technologies that are sustainable and people-driven. Thanks.
Thank you. Please, Tejas, please.
I would say innovation drives progress. So the progress has to be managed, with agility. While we need to give a lot of freedom for innovation, there has to be a lot of governance. And then whatever we do has to be for universal social good with social responsibility. And last but not the least, it is going to transform our lives. So what is relevant yesterday or today may not be relevant tomorrow. So all of us have to learn, unlearn, and relearn. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you. Sister Rafaela, please.
Thank you. Setting priorities based upon the good of the human person and establishing policies that are guided by ethical principles is a primary goal. But I would also like to recall here the Holy See's proposal for an international agency on artificial intelligence to develop a normative and operative framework regarding the peaceful use of artificial intelligence. Thank you.
Thank you. Turning to Poland. President Oko, please.
Thank you. Not as a president, as a university professor,
Okay.
understanding the modus operandi of phenomena, events, and behaviors of actors. You can just look at the effect. You have to understand the mechanism then that led to do it. And that will be hard to do unless we build teams based primarily on diversity of thought. Thank you.
Thank you. And now I'm going to turn to Mexico, to the president of IFT, please.
Gracias.
Thank you very much. In addition to flexibility and collaboration that have been mentioned, I think it is important that public servants and public civil servants, as well as public institutions, use new technologies. In the FTI where I work, we are focusing on data-driven projects. We're implementing digitalization of as many processes as many as we can. We're trying to understand where we can implement AI. These are my recommendations.
Thank you. And last but not least, over to you, sir, please.
Thank you. I think, in my opinion, leaders should focus on agility, fostering resilience, openness to change within their organization, and embrace a mindset of continuous learning, actively seeking diverse perspectives. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Ravi. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to hand back to our co-moderator to close us off, but I'm feeling very inspired. I don't know about you. I thought that was an incredible way to sort of wrap us up. The points coming over about the need to be decisive, the importance of experimentation, exploration. I love that one too. Of course, partnership, togetherness, collaborating, the need for predictability as well as stability, the importance of security, sustainability, resilience. One of the speakers mentioned the need to look beyond. I think that's really important as we look to the future. The importance when we regulate and make policies of being transparent, being accountable, being responsible, and of course, that affordability and accessibility being also at the core, and of course, being inclusive. And I think this morning's discussion has been very inclusive, bringing together different stakeholder groups. And so with that, ladies and gentlemen, from the ITU side, I do want to thank you for this very important discussion. Thank you for those contributions. I think we covered many different topics that will, I think, undoubtedly help us as we look to shape the future of global innovation. And of course, as we chart the next digital wave. If I may, I was also asked to mention for everyone sitting at this round circle, there's a t-shirt for you when you exit. So don't forget to get your t-shirt. I think it's out this door. And with that, thank you again. And I hand back to my co-moderator.
Thank you, Doreen. Before we conclude, I would first like to extend my heartfelt thanks for nice co-moderation by Doreen. So thank you, Doreen, for that. I would also like to express my deepest gratitude to our excellencies and all our distinguished speakers for sharing their valuable insights, experiences, and visions for the future of innovations. Your contribution have provided us with a rich, multifaceted understanding of how we can collectively shape the future of technology and digital transformation. And finally, a special thank you for our audience, both here in meeting and in meeting room B, and to those of you who have joined us online for your active participation. Your engagement has truly enriched our dialogue and helped elevate the discussions. It's this type of collective exchange that will continue to drive forward our shared goals and help us build a more innovative, inclusive, and collaborative global ecosystem. Thank you.
Thank you very much to the two co-moderators and to all the distinguished excellencies and speakers. Ladies and gentlemen, we have now reached the lunch break, a perfect moment to relax, recharge, and enjoy the delicious Indian meal awaiting us outside. It's also a great opportunity to continue the thought-provoking conversations we have started this morning and to strengthen the connections you have made with fellow attendees. For the speakers and observers in this room, please stay outside of this room for lunch. For all other attendees in meeting room B, your lunch will be served in hall number 1, and our friendly ushers are ready to guide you there. We have about an hour and 10 minutes or so to enjoy our meal, network, and take a well-deserved break before we resume and reconvene this afternoon in room B. We'll be back in hall 14 at 13:30 or 1:30 p.m. New Delhi time. So please ensure you return promptly as we continue with our exciting discussions lined up for the rest of the day. Please join me in a big round of applause for our speakers and co-moderators. Thank you and bon appétit.